Welcome, everyone. We are back here in New York City with Bill Harvey and myself, Natalie Neilson, for episode 18 of The Power of You. Good afternoon, Bill. How are we doing today?
Terrific. It's freezing outside. It was minus 6 degrees this morning.
Yeah, we're very happy to be in here in the warm, that's for sure. And it feels very calm and peaceful above all the city noise. So we'll get right into it today. And the topic I wanted to bring up today, Bill, was around being in the in-between. So what do I mean by that? As we're on our growth journeys and we continue to grow and evolve, there's often a time that we are not the person we once were, but we're also not quite the person we are becoming. And I wanted to bring this up today because I think this in-between phase is actually quite challenging for a lot of people because the identity that they once related to has dissolved. They're no longer maybe have the same friendship circles or the same workplace or opportunities in their lives, but the new person that they're becoming is not quite arrived in their reality yet. So wanted to talk a little bit about this today, just to help people that are on this growth journey and are in this process and perhaps can relate to being in between. So to start off, maybe, Bill, we could talk about some of the symptoms or what the feelings are when we're in between chapters.
Well, there's a fancy word for it, liminal.
Right.
And that kind of proves that this is a historic fact, that there is this liminal condition that people are in when they're making a major change in their life, particularly in an upward direction. So, for example, go back to hundreds of thousands of years ago when we lived in caves and so on. There's always been rites of passage where people reach a certain age and then they're not exactly adults yet, but they're going to have to take a half a step forward into something more than a child. And they're going to be in this liminal state where they've been accepted to a degree, but not all the way yet. It was much more easy to be a child, but you can't go back. There's no turning back. So the main feeling, I think, is one of awkwardness and uncertainty. And, uncertainty leads to insecurity. And so you worry that maybe you're not good enough, you're not up to the task of growing. And now you've given up that stable thing that you had before. So now you're really in trouble. Why did you do it? You have doubt, self-doubt. Those are some of the things to look out for. Look out for in the sense that tells you that you're actually making tremendous progress. You've actually moved. You actually are growing. You've abandoned the false self that you had basically imitated other people to create this false self. Now you're being yourself, and it's feels like you're unmoored, like the ship doesn't have an anchor down and it could drift this way or that way. You don't know what's happening.
Yeah. I love that you've got a term for it because the words that came to me in the car were in between, right? That liminal phase, this liminal phase, it can feel almost like you've said the bridge behind you has burned down and crumbled, right? But the new one has yet to appear. And I think that is kind of a terrifying realization, right? It's like, oh my goodness, there is no going back. It's like the door has shut behind you and the only way is forward. But with that, like you say, there is these feelings of self-doubt, anxiousness, upset, worry, like is the unknown too. I think so much of what we experience in this time is around the unknown, and you start to question yourself. It's is what I think about to happen going to happen, or is it all going to crumble? And I think it's in this time that you can find yourself in between two different kind of mindsets. You can find yourself going between the old mindset, which is like, oh, what if this goes wrong? And maybe I'm still going to struggle, or, you know, this person wasn't good for me. And then you find yourself kind of, it's almost in this liminal phase. It's almost like your old life is still there and the old programming is still there. But at the same point, you're moving into this new frequency and this new kind of thought process. And there, it's like this new version of you thinks differently as well, right? And I think I'm almost seeing like an elevator. It's like one's going down and the other one's going up. And it's in this time that we can really be quite confused as to which frequency we're anchored towards. Because, as you said, you're in between. It's in the liminal phase. What has been before has now left or is exiting your system, but the new isn't quite there yet. You haven't quite arrived.
It's a time where the keyword is discrimination. To discriminate between the impulse that was the old-fashioned impulse that isn't really fitting anymore, and where you want to be, who you want to be, who you really are inside. You've got this doubt and this imposter complex, you know, like you don't believe who you are. You know, there's someone, I think it was Maslow, said people aren't really afraid of finding out how terrible they are. They're really afraid of finding out how great they are. And it's scary, because we are God incarnating in these different roles. So who we really are is extremely great, beyond belief. But we can't believe it.
Yeah.
Because we've always been pushed around by life and others and parents. It's been a humiliating experience. And now somebody tells us that we're God. Well, yeah, go tell it on the mountain. That's nonsense. I don't believe it. Blah, blah, blah. But at any rate, the angel is on the shoulder, the one giving you this kind of advice and the other give. So you have to head toward the light. Yeah, that's how you know what to do. Like when you're confused, you don't know which way to go, and you're not even sure which angel is the good angel. You're hearing what sounds like good advice on both sides. How do you know which one is the better advice? It's the one that has no negativity in it whatsoever. That's if there's any trace of negativity in it, like this shoulder angel is telling you to do something, but it's really telling you to do something in a way that's snarky about some other person.
Yep.
That's not the right one.
Yeah. So almost if you're either imagining like an angel and a devil, or, these two different elevators, right? Like one's going down, the other's going up. What the voice that you should listen to is the one that is completely like positive. There is no negativity in it. And it's not about being like toxic positivity, because I've learned over time that there's a difference between, positivity and avoidance, right? So it's not to avoid the things that you need to face, but the positive voice or the angel or the elevator going up, it is usually the one that scares you the most, actually, because as you said, we're afraid of our own greatness. And I know that that's come up so many times, in coaching work, everything we do with TTM, it's when you get through, we're scared of our own potential and we're scared of our own greatness. So when you're listening to these voices, it really is the one that probably terrifies you, but is positive and that is telling you that it's all going to work out, and it's going to work out in a way better than you probably could have ever imagined.
Yeah. A win-win situation. Whenever you're offered the right thing to do, a win-win situation, that's the direction to go.
Mm-hmm. I think when we're in this liminal phase, there's a number of emotions that come up. So we've talked a bit about the self-doubt and, the worry and kind of this frustration, like, oh my God, am I crazy? Is this going to work out? Is it not? But there's also, I think, there's grief layered in there too, because when we're kind of saying goodbye to an old version of ourselves, there's a grief that goes alongside that, because we are saying goodbye to a version of us that got us to this point in our life. And I think as well, there's traits that we need to, evolve as we grow. There's people in our life that we need to say goodbye to. And not everything and everyone can come all the way with you. And like with that, like there's grief layered in, because we feel like we're saying goodbye to a part of ourselves. And I don't know that there's an answer for it necessarily, but I just know that it's something that I felt many times, throughout, my growth journey. And I'm sure other people do too. But it's knowing that grief is actually, the price we're paying for growth and evolution. And I think, again, it's like, okay, you can feel those emotions, and it's important to feel them. Don't just, think positive. It's not that. It's like you need to be able to process those emotions, and whatever way that looks like for you, in order to release the emotions, whether it's through, journaling, laughing, crying, whatever that is, just allow it to come to the surface and come out, because, those memories live inside you. And while they're not necessarily in your reality now anymore, maybe even people or past traits of yourself, you were the person that once said this to me, you can love them from afar, right? And I think that goes for people in your life, but it also goes from old versions of yourself too. Like you can love the old version of yourself from afar. You can respect him or her, like for what he did at that one or she did at that point in time, and where they got you in your life. And again, it is, price we pay for like being here. And I think grief is not just something that we experience when people die, like physically, like I feel like we're constantly going through that process throughout our life. And I know that we experience it. I know that parents feel this as they're going through different stages of, their child's lives as well. So again, not an answer to it, but I guess processing the grief is really important, and allowing yourself to feel it and knowing it's a natural part of the process.
Yeah, you can't repress it effectively, because it'll come back up again. And the more you repress it, the more that you're not assimilating the learning from it. There's kind of like a master trick of dealing with any form of negativity, including grief, which is to start from the memory that you can transmute any feeling that you have. And the way you do it is in step-by-step stages. So you start with recognizing that you feel grief and you feel loss, and you feel a little bit of guilty about leaving the old friends behind because they can't quite keep up with your new life. All of those things are grief, but where's the trick then? How do I transmute that? Well, first of all, what you're really saying is you really appreciate all of that, those people, those experiences, those times, that part of yourself that went through all of that. You appreciate that. You love it. And knowing that you love it and you're thankful for it is already moving you out of a negative feeling from grief. And it's positioning it properly in your understanding. You have a holistic understanding that, yes, I'm leaving that behind, but I'll always have those memories. And maybe those people will come back into my life. Maybe I'll make a sentimental journey back to that town someday. It'll be fun. And I'm not really throwing them out of my heart. I'll always be in my heart. They live in my heart and in my memories. So, by talking to yourself that way, you should transmute any negative feeling into a positive feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talked about transmuting emotions before, but crazy visual that's come into my head, right? But it's like when you think of like having a piece of toast, right? It's bread, right? And then you put it down and you put it in the toaster and it comes out toast, right? It's the same thing, but you have been able to transform and alchemize it to become a different version of itself. And not saying that we're like slices of toast, but it's like, how can you take one thing, right, and go through this process so that you come out the other side of it as a transformed. It's not like you're getting rid of the emotion, right? It's not like you're getting rid of the bread, right? You are alchemizing it. You are transforming it. And that the process of transmuting emotions, it's not avoidance. It's not, oh, I don't want to look there, or push it down. I don't want to deal with it. It is the process of changing it. Like it's transforming it. So toast is a silly analogy, but maybe will help. But it's not around leaving those emotions and not processing them. The processing is part of the healing and part of the growth, right? So it's really important that we do that. But I like the frame of mind, and it's similar to how I like try to think things, as I'm growing and evolving. It's people is one part of the grief, but also parts of yourself and traits that you once had. You can grieve those, right? And again, it's you've got to think of it less like shutting a door and more like just a holding hand, right? That's how I kind of think of it. It's like, okay, it's just not right now. It doesn't mean it's not forever. It doesn't mean these people won't be back in your life. It doesn't mean that you can't be really overgiving again, or you can do certain things, right? Because at certain points in your life, like different versions of yourself are needed, right? And it doesn't mean that old version of yourself can't come back in some form, right, in later life. But everything happens, I think, in life in seasons. And it's the same with our growth too. What you need now, I'm almost seeing a toolbox, like what tools you need now might not be the tools that you need in the future, right? So, but you have them in your backpack, right? And it's just a case of like, it's not getting rid of them, but it's putting them to the side, and then they're there if you need to or want to use them in the future. And I think it is about the reframe. It's like, okay, it doesn't mean that it's gone forever, or that person's gone forever, or that trait that you once had that you loved about yourself, but you can't bring into this next chapter. It doesn't mean it's gone forever. It just means that it's either in the holding pen, in this backpack, and it's there whenever you want or need to use it. So, but I think the theme that's coming up right now for me is around love. And it's like, how can you navigate these chapters with love, right? Whether it's towards yourself, towards other people, towards, an environment or a place that was part of your life, just because it's no longer coming with you into this next stage. How can you let it go with love? And I think that's the only thing that you can control, right? How others react or how other people take it, that's you can't do that. But it's like, can you show yourself love, and can you show the environment or the situation love? Because that is how you will leave and be able to get onto this next elevator without carrying baggage from the previous chapter.
Love is almost like a secret weapon in the sense that whenever you feel negativity, you can always transmute it by understanding, what do I love that is causing me this grief? Oh, I love that person, but they've slammed the door in my face. I'm out. Somebody else is in. That's why I feel the grief, because I've lost that person. But What if I look at it from the standpoint of, well, we were together for 6 wonderful months. And would I want to take that out of my life, out of my memories, and so that I don't feel hurt now? No, I'm glad I had those 6 months. Thanks the song, thanks for the memories.
It's like that saying, don't be sad that it's over, smile because it happened, right? And I think that's a really important frame of mind. And I know it can be difficult because as human beings, like, we love infinitely. There is no end to the love that we can give to people in this world, right? But you do need to love yourself first, right? Because if you don't, then you're not able to give love in the way that you perhaps may want to. And I think it's if you can show yourself love, then trust that in time, the right things, people, experiences will find their way to you. But it does start with self-love. You have to be loving towards yourself. And I think so much of the time when we're on this growth journey or in this liminal phase, we can be really, really hard on ourselves, being like, oh, well, you're a horrible person, like you've left that person behind, or you're a horrible person because you've changed and you're not as not as nice as you once were, or we can be really, really horrible to ourselves. And actually, again, it's about showing yourself love, because when you can reframe it as, okay, you're not a horrible person, you're just doing what you need to do in order to grow and evolve. And it doesn't mean that you love these people any less. It doesn't mean that you didn't love the experience. I know I felt this grief in liminal phases with jobs before, right? Like leaving one and going into another, right? It's not that you didn't enjoy it or didn't have love for those people or those experiences, but you just know when it's over, right? And again, it's the reframe, can you smile because it happened instead of being upset that it's done?
Yeah, you have to be on your own side. Doesn't mean you have to be a narcissist, but you have to be on your own side, or you're not going to be able to accomplish anything. You'll just be like a lump, and you just lay there like a lump, and you'll be totally ineffectual. You can't achieve anything if you're not on your own side. I mean, the one thing that we have to take responsibility for, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. That's our job, is take care of the self. The way I see it is God's giving you this experience of being this particular self, Natalie. Yeah. So here's Natalie. I'll be Natalie for a while. And your job now, Natalie, is to be Natalie. Take care of Natalie. Remember that.
Yeah. Well, let's say, again, everything's a pendulum, right? So we're not saying love yourself so much that you don't care about anything or anyone. But at the same point, you can't care about everything and everyone to the detriment of yourself. So it's all a pendulum, right? And I think where you strike that balance is somewhere in the middle. It's like a healthy self-love, which is okay, you need to respect yourself and show yourself self-respect, and whatever that means to you in your different facets of life. You can show love to everything and everyone around about you, but you need to be able to show yourself that self-love and self-respect in a healthy capacity. Or I kind of see it as more like your foundation, right? So in order to give to everybody, everything and everybody else around you, you need to build a healthy foundation which keeps your cup topped up so that you can give from a place of overflow and not from a place of depletion. So when we think about that pendulum of self-love, for me, it comes into your foundation and understanding, okay, well, what do I need in order to function to the best of my ability? And I think that takes some time to understand, right? Because we can want to give to everything and everyone around us, but the foundation is key. And it's one thing that I've learned, over the last few years is it's giving to yourself so that you have a healthy foundation is really, really important, because if you don't have that, you aren't able to give to everyone else, and you're not able to step into that next stage of your growth. So I think here it's about thinking, okay, well, what is your foundation? Like, what do you need for you in order for this growth journey to be sustainable? Because if you don't look after yourself, like, it isn't sustainable.
You know, the airlines have it right when they say, put your oxygen mask on first.
100%. 100%.
And jumping from the ridiculous to the sublime, Jesus had so many good messages. And he was the ultimate role model for who a human being could turn out to be, to emulate. And with him, it wasn't really a pendulum. It was like he had both sides of the pendulum put together as one thing. He just loved everything. Love everything, love everybody. There were a few exceptions, like throwing over the table, objecting for corruption taking place right in the heart of spirituality. So, every rule has an exception. But generally speaking, loving everything is a simple solution. It's like, it's really not that difficult. Mm. As children, we kind of automatically do that. Mm. And then, a bee will sting us or a dog will bite us, and we'll start to say, well, okay, I have to make some exceptions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as well with that, right, it's not so much about the people or places, it's about what they teach us about ourselves, right? Because, the world does harden you, unfortunately, but kind of it has to, right, for your own learning and for your evolution, because I know for me, it's like, yeah, give to everybody. And then you end up like on the floor depleted, right? Like you can't do that. So you have to learn, right? And that's the really important point. Like, we're here to live. So, yes, love everything and everyone, but take the learnings as well, because otherwise, if you don't learn, then you're not going to evolve, and then you won't grow. So, talking of this liminal phase, right, that we're in right now, and that we were talking about right now, I think not only have we talked about, some of the feelings and emotions that are there, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about the physical feelings or physical symptoms. Like you talked a little bit about, our emotions and what emotions are running through. But also I find that in this in-between phase, there's also like physical symptoms that we can feel. And I wanted to, I guess, share this with you and see what your kind of understanding is of this. But the way I see it is that our brain or our mind moves before the body does, right? So when we're in this liminal phase, like our brain is now operating from a new frequency, but our body hasn't necessarily caught up in terms of understanding, okay, we're getting on this next elevator now, right? So, and this is the part where the body can still react from that old version of you. So say the new version of you is posting online frequently, right? And the old version of you felt really at the thought of doing that, right? And felt like, oh my God, I'm going to get judged. I'm going to get, what people are going to think, right? Sometimes in this in-between, in the liminal phase, is the new frequency is where you are meant to and called to operate from, but the body still remembers how you used to feel doing these things. And I think it's important to bring up because it can be mistaken for, oh, well, I'm doing something wrong, right? In this in-between phase. But actually, in this time, it's about retraining the body that once, your old system or your old frequency perhaps told you that it wasn't safe to do these things, right? So that's why the body is reacting in that way. But then when you move into this new version of yourself, it's about retraining the body to understand, like, actually, no, it's safe to do these things. And I think that can be a really hard challenge when we're in this phase, because the body can feel one thing, but the mind is saying another.
Well, the word awkwardness is often used to describe people in the liminal phase. They feel awkward. And, teenagers are always characterized as being awkward because they're not children anymore, but they're not adults. So that there is that feeling of being awkward and the actual display of awkwardness because the body is not fully cooperating. As you say, there's intelligence and consciousness in every cell of our body. So there's these levels, the cellular level, then there's the organ level, then there's the conglomerate body. And even in the brain, the frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex is the newest part of the brain. And it's the part where we can use metacognition, thinking to actually reprogram ourselves and to grow and to think in new ways and be open-minded and do that consciously. But then the back brain, particularly the cerebellum, where it connects to the spinal cord and the entire body's nervous system, is the autonomous intelligence, the autonomous nervous system that does things automatically, the reflexes, and all the reflexes trained into our body by our previous experience are still going on this path, even though we've made a right turn. They're still going that way. And as you say, you have to get them to go with the program. And I talk to my body. I talk to my cells. I have communication. I respect them. I thank them. I want them to know, here's the logic behind it. Here's why we're doing this now. I understand that your tendency is to still do this when, we should be doing this now. And the body learns. And it appreciates being talked to, not talked down to, but, talked to like on an equal, not patronizing way.
Yeah, I love that because it's almost like the brain is the driver and like the body is the car, right? And it's like you're basically telling, okay, right, we're taking a different route now. We're not going to go down that street again. And this is the reasons why we're not going down that street. I know you're trying to keep me safe. I know you're trying to, you want to be predictable. You want to know the outcome. And I know that this actually taking this right turn, I'm always seeing the streets beneath us, right? Taking this right turn feels scary, right? Because you don't know what's around the corner. But me as the driver, I am telling you, it's going to be fine. Like, this is the route we need to go and we're going in this new direction. So I think that's a really great example that people can take from it. It's like, okay, when you have evolved in your mindset and you can feel it because you're kind of awkwardly navigating this new system that you're on or these new superpowers that you seem to have acquired overnight, right? Well, not overnight, it's a long process, but once you're in this phase that feels somewhat awkward, it is about, okay, continuing to anchor in from the mind and not the body, because the body is like denser, right? Like it takes longer for the body to move, if you like, right? The brain can move instantaneously, right? But our actual body takes longer to learn. And with that, also our reality takes longer, right? So the change may have happened inside you, like in your mind. The body needs to come with you, but also your environment needs to come with you. And like these things, because we're in like a 3D world, it takes longer for our physical reality to catch up. So that is your body, but it's also environment. So it could be, friends groups. It could be new opportunities that come to you. It could be places that you're in. It could be like work environments. There is so much that needs to recalibrate to align with your new kind of evolved self, right? And I think it's when we know and understand that, it becomes easier to stay in that frequency and mindset and not let the outer reality, you're thinking, well, I've grown so much. Why has nothing changed? I feel like a different person. Why has nothing changed, right? It's if you can understand that these things just take longer, right? You are the driver of the car, right? But it takes longer for the car to move, aka the body, but it also takes longer for the environment and situations to change too, because you need to get there, right? So the car takes longer to get there. And I think if you've got that understanding, that will also help you when you're in this liminal phase, because just because nothing has changed outwardly yet, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. It is. It just takes a little bit longer than you might want or anticipate it to be.
Matter is a high friction medium, and the mind isn't. And we're more complex than a car. We're more like an anchor carrier, and they take like you want to make a right turn, that's fine. It's going to take 3 miles to even start the turn.
We see like a big shit almost, like a big massive ship. Yeah. Yeah. No, it does. It takes a long time not a long time. It feels a long time where you're living as somebody else inside your mind and your outward reality doesn't necessarily reflect that yet. It can feel like it's taking a long time, but I like to reframe this. It's like, you think it's taking a long time, but that's more like your ego just wants like the proof or the evidence. But actually in either God's timing, source's timing, it's perfect, because I reframe this maneuvering period as, rather than a wait time, it's preparation, right? And I think that's important when you think about this liminal phase. It's not a wait, it's preparation, because if you received everything that you know in your mind that you are right now, if your outward reality reflected that right now, would you be okay? Like, would you be able to hold it? And like, you probably wouldn't, right? Because that is why this maneuvering time or this preparation time is necessary, because you kind of almost see it. You see when like a butterfly comes out of its like cocoon, like the wings are there, but it's still a bit like sticky. It's not stretched out yet. So it is a butterfly, but it's not fully out, and it is kind of a bit soft and malleable still, right? So this is the time in this liminal phase that you're still kind of just fresh out, right? Fresh out it's this next version of yourself. So it's going to take you some time to strengthen and to become strong enough. And I think this is important about the liminal phase. It's the preparation, but it's also building your strength, because this next version of you will require you to be a stronger version of yourself. So this time in this liminal phase is the preparation. So I think what's an important thing to do is, rather than think, oh, I'm stuck here waiting, why has nothing changed yet? I feel so different. If you can move your head into a place that is like, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to be prepared? So that when the thing that I'm waiting for like comes, that I'm ready. A bit like a tennis match, right? You wouldn't hit the ball over the net and then just stand there and like wait for it to come back, right? You'd work on your footwork, you'd work on your like breathing, you'd work on your technique. And I think that's important for listeners too. When you think about this liminal phase, what can you do in order to be prepared?
It's the foundation. It's the planning period. And the same is true in high performing teams, that you have to break down the task into phases, and you have to crawl, walk, run. And high-performing teams don't feel impatient to get to the next step because they understand the process. They've been there before. They've done other projects that have been successful. They've seen that you take it a step at a time and you use it as much, you can't imagine how valuable the planning phase is. The execution is almost automatic if you've done the planning, fully. If you, so you should enjoy the planning phase. Also it's the anticipation. Sometimes you're going to go to a new place you've never been to before. You're excited for weeks on end with anticipation. You don't want to lose that, because when you get there, it's never going to be quite as dramatic, as wonderful as it was in your anticipation. You'll still have a great time, but you don't want to give up the memories of that experience of anticipation. It's a good thing.
Again, it's the journey, right? It's not the destination, because once you're there, guess what? There'll be something else, right? We have a great way of just like, oh, I forgot that was the goal for my whole entire life, and now we've got like a new goal. So it's enjoying that journey and the preparation, because it's the person you become along the way that's the real result. It's not any of these things outside of you. It's the person that you've had to become in order to hold and receive and hold this life that you've been envisaging. And when I think about strength as well, the person that you become along the journey, you don't necessarily realize how much stronger you are, because it's not that the life has got easier, right? It's that you have got stronger, right? But you don't realize that, because again, there's a new peak every time you reach and the next stage of yourself. So I think here in this liminal phase, part of the preparation is, yes, looking ahead, but also looking back and being able to just take a moment to be like, wow, I've come a long way. And I think we're so bad at doing that. We're always focused on what's next, right? But and I'm not saying get stuck in the past or sit there and reminisce and don't move forward. But I'm saying definitely take some time just to be like, wow, look how far I've come. And isn't it a privilege right now that I'm sat here in this in-between phase, hoping or waiting for this, something that I've always dreamed of to come into my reality. So you've got so strong, you've got so much stronger than you even realize. But in order to realize that, you do need to take a step back and just take a moment to smell the roses and just see what you've created and how far you've come.
And to be grateful that it happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the gratitude will bring more cause for gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of circles us back round quite nicely, really. It is. It's about the frame of mind. It's about showing gratitude for, these versions of yourself, for every chapter, for every person, for every experience. Because if you don't have, if there was no then, there would be no you. And it's can you be grateful for who you were, because you needed him or her, right? They'd served their purpose on your journey, but can you be grateful that they were part of your journey? Because if they weren't, then you wouldn't be the person you are today. So we owe ourselves gratitude, the love, but also just I think the word is, it's looking back with not with grief, right? But almost, I don't know if the word's gratitude, but gratitude, self-love, yeah, I think it is grateful. I'm almost feeling like a thank you. It's like, as part of your ritual to say like goodbye, right, to that version of you. Like, yes, there's grief laid in there, but can you almost just say thank you? Like, just thank you for what you did for me. Thank you for the lesson that you taught me. Thank you for the person that you made me become. Because I think when you say thank you, and like my mom always told me, like, your manners, Natalie, right? Like, and I think it's showing yourself that same grace, those manners that you were taught to show everyone else. Can you show it to yourself? Because if you are, then with that helps you let go. And then when you let go, you heal. And when you heal, you grow.
That says it.
Yep. Well, another wonderful episode. We never know where these are going to go. So thank you so much, Will, for a fabulous episode 18. And thank you, dear listeners. We will see you again next month. Goodbye.